Hey, how's it going? I thought I was ready. I'm not. No biggie. Just have to move some stuff aside. So, I have a couple of cards, but first I would like you to please look at my signs. Okay, so I have a couple of cards from the Declarations of Mary Magdalene deck. And I was kind of intimidated by them because both of them are packed with text. And for me, these are kind of deep. Like, they always mean I have to be thinking a lot about what they're saying to me. So, but I just, I just took them. So anyway, the first one says, I am the resurrection of light in oneness. I am Mary the Magdalene, goddess. I am one with the creator source of all that is, as is eternally. I am feminine Christ, and I am that which walks the earth through every woman after me. May you be granted peace in thy sacred heart when you remember your truth. So I feel like, even though she references women that come after her, pretty sure she's talking about the divine feminine energy, which could come in not the form of a female. It's it's a state of being. It's a state of consciousness. It's outside of gender as we perceive it. Okay, so it's a reminder of who we are, and I don't think it is limited to feminine consciousness. I think it's at a depth where once you get there, it's not limited to feminine consciousness, but it originates through her voice, and so she was feminine, I guess. But it's something we can all, if not embody, appreciate and learn from, I guess. Okay, and it talks about, okay, so the last sentence is, may you be granted peace in thy sacred heart when you remember your truth. So we get outside of ourselves, outside of our hearts, and we get, like, for instance, all up in our heads, and that, depending on the situation, I think what we're talking about here is the situation where it's sort of not to your advantage to sort of be locked up in your headspace, your analytical, logical space, because it wants nothing to do with the heart, in a way. Like, presented with life, it's gonna come up with reasons. It's gonna have bullet points. It's gonna be like, it'll have rules. It's rigid. It's formulated. And I got very, very macho. So, you still have your heart, though, I mean, you can tell yourself that you're not going to pay attention to what it's telling you or how it's affecting you. Like, you can go ahead, seal yourself off from that, see how long that works for you. You end up in an unpleasant place, and it may take you a while to even realize, like, all of that's even why your life is crap or whatever, or why you feel, I don't know, trapped. And everyone is living, like, I like to remind everybody I'm talking about the United States here pretty much solely, but everyone is, that's here is sort of trapped here. And I know you're saying, well, no, you're not. Like, you can, like, travel, but as of today, it's looking like that's going to get really difficult. I know that there's already lines that take, you already had to show up hours before your flight before now, and now TSA is hurting. It's, like, very low on staff, which is why it's taken so long and why the lines are so long and why you have to show up even earlier. And more and more of them just don't want to come back. Like, they're just, like, leaving the job. Obviously, that's an issue for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I don't know that it's going to be resolved quickly. And so, as I was saying before, we're kind of, I think, ending up back in a situation where we're cut off and isolated, which we've certainly, oh God, what's the word? Alienated everybody that was our ally, pretty much. Excuse me. And so the point is, I guess eventually when you feel bad enough, when you hit a rock bottom, you just gotta kind of surrender to, like, I can't do anything anymore. Like, I'm powerless to extricate myself from the situation that a lot of times you help yourself into. But I'm just gonna say that's the kind of scenario I'm talking about. But it's not like you can't recover, You just, I think, like I said, you hit rock bottom and then you start to look at things that you were neglecting to look at before. And I'm talking about a situation where it's not a surprise. I mean, you decided to go down this path, so you can't be too surprised where you found yourself. Well, I mean, maybe you could, because a lot of people don't like to admit their culpability in their own situations. But, I mean, that's what a rock bottom will... That's why it'll take you there, but that's what it'll take you there for, because I had the opportunity, I guess, the whole time to not behave in the way that got you to the unhappy place, and you chose to not, you had a choice, and you chose. But, the bottom line is it is recoverable. I mean, your situation could be, like, kind of terrible, but terrible is as terrible as you make it wherever you are, like, just like you can take charge and do your life, and maybe it ends you up in a bad place. Well, you can still take charge of your mind even if you're limited to that place. And what goes on in your head is yours. You can make it anything you want. How you see on a show or something, or maybe in real life somebody will say this to you. Oh, where did you go? When you sort of mentally drift off and you just phase out for a minute to all appearances, but there's a lot going on on the interior. So, now I lost my train of thought. I don't know why I said that. But, I mean, our actions have a lot to do with where we end up, what we align with, what we agree with. Like, if you don't make good choices, you could end up, having a bad day, or worse, longer. Okay, next card. But you can go back. You can always go back. Like, being reduced to having to face yourself is not the worst thing. Oh, blame. That's where I was trying to go. So yeah, we I think all have, okay, no, can't say all. A lot of us will just right off the bat blame somebody else for something that's going on in your life, and while they may have something to do with it, ultimately it's up to you, you know. So choices what I'm saying. And you can also make the choice to change your situation. Like if it becomes terrible and unpleasant and you can't really escape it, whether it's confinement or just the confinement of your mind, you are the one that is in charge. You have the joystick. You can make the changes. But sometimes you have to understand that you might have to undergo some renovation, like learning how not to blame everybody and everything but yourself for your circumstances. That is humbling. And I think that gets you back to your heart. Okay, I can get to the next card. This one says, for no soul may hold their false light over another in forms of taxation, lies, control, dictatorship, deceit, manipulation, corruption, ill repute, forms of spells, dark magic, contracts certifying birth that go against thy divine will of any child of God, seen and unseen. For all have the right to freedom, to live in love as thou shalt choose, as God's sovereign beings. So I'm just going to start with that last bit there about God's sovereign beings. I would think that is like, you are the God of all you survey, basically, and it kind of ties back into choices, which this started out with right at the top. I thought it was interesting, this card that I pulled, the list of things that it says no soul may hold over another in forms of things that we absolutely right now live under: taxation, lies, control, dictatorship, this country, and oh my gosh, others, so many I've heard of before and seriously landed here. Deceit, manipulation, corruption, ill repute, forms of spells and dark magic. You know, that's an interesting topic because, especially in the position of like government officials, they don't want to cop to any kind of alignment with that kind of thing. But the military in some quarters, I'm pretty sure, like up the chain, although I don't know what they're doing down the chain, they might be paying attention to it too, that it is their lives. Anyway, like the Reagan administration was famous for listening to astrologer Gene Dixon, but I think Gene Dixon was a psychic, so maybe there was two people, but from what I understand, they were just open about it. Other people, I don't know about all, but other administrations also took advantage of future seeking, basically. But that's because, you know, they would make it something to ridicule if we did it, because they don't want us to have the advantage that it gives them, which is you're not necessarily gonna see, like, this is gonna happen in the future for sure on this day, but you'll get an idea of what the potentials are that can be very, very powerful. Like if you watching this, the viewer, take any of these things into account for yourself, then you understand why, you know, especially for them, because astrology kind of gives information from like a wide source base. I don't want to say base because I'm like seeing astrology is in the stars, but ceiling. I don't know. It's got a wide ceiling. It's not even a ceiling. It's just open. I don't know how to say it. It's vast. It's broad. You can't see from one end to the other with the naked eye, like space. But if you use it personally to sort of get just even a whiff of what's coming up for you, then you understand why a government and even a military branch might be really interested in that kind of thing, because you want to get out of the way of problems, like injuries and casualties and things like that. So yeah, that's, I think, especially because it's sort of always been an upper class than the average citizen. They like to keep things to themselves and hoard the good stuff and not tell you everything. I mean, that is a government thing, to hold back information for reasons, whatever. But I think particularly the class that's been in there since I think the 50s going forward, that's where the disparity of not only wealth, but just social peerage, at all. They don't want anything. That's not new, but like I said, you could say it goes back to the 30s, or it just goes back forever. I'm just trying to keep a reasonable frame of reference here. The chunk I chose is good enough. You get the dang gist. They want to be special and separate and fancy, and even amongst themselves, they're crappy to each other over that stupid stuff. Materialism is disgusting. Example, Christmas. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I said what I needed to say about that. But all of those things that I said, the decision to be separate from other people, to feel hoity-toity and high and mighty and better than everybody else, is a choice. So it's, I guess kind of a lot like the other card, in that, in all of these sort of entrapments and barriers to life that are being erected currently faster, have you noticed how fast houses go up lately? They gotta be so terrible. They gotta be you huff and puff and those things just fall over. But that's how it is now. Everything is a cutting a corner, and just no one needs to know about this. I'll just stick it behind my back, whether it's a material object or a piece of information. And I think this is a choice where you're, on the one hand, you gotta just sort of shelter in place mentally and physically, but also gather your strength and your people, because we're in a situation where the choices we make are everything for everybody. And I think priorities gotta go through an audit for everyone. And I think the reason why there's a lot of stuff happening with people is because there always is. There has been for a long time. There are generational sort of family traditions, or even cultural traditions, that are screwing this country up, and they have been for a long time because we just did not properly address them. And it was hard. I have been alive only for the tail end of that stuff, but it seems to be now having a recurrence, the stuff that sort of, we try to have a more fair and just society, but some people were not happy with that choice, and they just want to maintain a status quo, but you know, something is happening that has been feared by the right and the wealthy for a long time, and that is, you know, populations of people in color outnumbering them, and I swear it's so funny, it's so revealing that they're afraid, and it's like, well, why are you so afraid? We're just glad to have finally have a fair shake and say in things, and that's being fought like every step of the way. And so many little groups and societies dedicated to trying to maintain something that, good luck with that, because it's just happening anyway. I don't think it's deliberate or malicious. It's just working out that, you know, the people of color are outnumbering the other ones. So, I know I don't feel like I need to go and get, you know, exact revenge on anybody for things that were done for generations by generations of people that look like people today. But the problem with that is that it was sort of never fair, the advantages that they had over everybody else. This is not news, right? And so, even though, like I don't feel like I need to, like, go after, sorry to say it this way, but I don't feel like I have to go after Whitey. Hi, Mom was Whitey for me. But I've just never heard, like, any of my other black family people, friends, anybody talking about, like, we're gonna go get ours. Like, you know, maybe that was like a 70s revolutionary thing, or, you know, maybe it would go further back where the situation was a lot worse. Like, the worse, the further you go back for, can't even say just black people, for just people of color here, or people that were not Caucasian. It was a problem for us to, like, come here and try to, like, mix into the land of the free. Oh, unfortunate slogans. Why do you just appear everywhere? Now we have to, well, you know, live with it, I guess. But I think we need to learn to live with it better, because things like having the rich people be so rich that they can't even use the systems that exist, that is, like, beyond wealth disparity. That's, like, wealth dissonance that is... You don't want to have, like, a continuous vibration to something that might topple that people are living in, and water is hooked up to it, and electricity. Like, all kinds of terrible things can happen if a vibration happens to do something to... I don't know, crumble the support of the foundation. You know, I'm just using, like, a building with people in it as an example, but it could be a theater with people in it. The point is that there are structures that people are in, and they're, like, using, and it's serious. Like, if you live there, if you lose where you live, it really sucks. So, and the vibrations are just, like, all of these pressures on society, like the rich people, or the race thing, or, you know, the money thing, and they're all kind of like the same thing on one level. And it's all like a scrimmage, like a constant struggle with each other. And it's like, is this what we really want? Like, don't we all just kind of want it to be good and easier and, like, happy? You know, and there's so many, like, systems and corporate entities that are so destructive to us, and it just is like, I said this to someone earlier, but it's like all of these entities are making circles where the ends don't meet, and they're energetic circles, so it's a problem when they don't meet. It like makes the vibration that's gonna topple the structure more intense for the inhabitants, more painful. And it don't have to be that way. We can like get out of the building and fix it, or we have less people in the building so the stressors are just not there. Like everything can be managed and rearranged, but not the way that it has been in the past, because that's another thing that's going to cause like structural injury to the foundation that we all depend on. So I don't know. I guess I don't really like have a solution. I can't say like go and do this and it'll fix it. In fact, I can't tell anybody what to do. Like people do stuff because they want to, because for whatever reason they're inclined to. It's going to benefit them or to help someone else. I think more and more it's about the second thing, and then you get the first thing with people, and that is so good. That makes me so happy. Like, things are changing. Things are making structures shaky, and that's okay. Like, it's actually what we needed to happen, and it's gotten a lot wild, really. I mean, things that normally happen are just sort of inflamed and more ramping up, but at the same time becoming untenable. Like we're mad as hell. We don't want to take it anymore. I don't even know if it's we just don't want to take crap anymore. We don't want to be lied to. We don't want to have to be treated in ways it's, you know what inflation is? Inflation is rising costs, but sometimes inflation is punitive and artificial, and I feel like that's a lot of what goes on. Like, even now, things have conspired to where it's sort of like the destructive roll is going to be hard to stop without letting it expend its energy, which means we're going to have to, like, experience that. We're going to have to suffer through that. That's okay. We've done it before. This is what we're built for, you know? And then some of us have an awareness of that. Like, we're built for that, and we're here because we're here to do this right now. We're all here to play some part in what's happening. It could go, it could go one way or the other. I hope it goes the good, positive, forward progression way, and I feel like it is. I know that a financial reset is on the way. Like, there's been rumblings about it out in the open, behind the scenes stuff, paranoid stuff that you don't know if it's real or not. It's just an indicator that kind of all of it's happening at once, I guess. And so, I don't know. I mean, you might have to just, like, get under your desk and, duck and cover sometimes for a period, and because of the military doing things that the military does in other countries because they were directed to by the president, that has caused a worldwide blockchain in the Hormuz Strait. So it's not just this war that we should not have gotten involved. It's not justified. But we're in it. We're stuck. Again, trapped because of the consequences of our actions. And, it stinks, but, we gotta live with it and live through it, because it wouldn't be happening if there was not a climate where enough of us were willing to allow for it. And so when that happens, are you gonna make it hard on yourself? Are you gonna make it harder? It's all about how you roll with the punches, how you respond to the shocks that come, because that is going to create a reality. That is consciousness right there affecting what your reality is going to do. If you're going to go gloom and doom, woe is me, everything's terrible, then that's how it's going to be. But you know what? All of those same things are happening for other people. Like, I noticed when I went to the store the other day, and I was very sad about this, that I didn't see no citrus. Actually, there were oranges, there were tangerines, but I don't want to make orange salsa. Some stuff is savory that you use lemons for, and I use lemons a lot, so I don't know how long that's going to last. It could be other stores have a stock. Maybe there's other stuff available. I'll have to look into it, but I might have to just sub that out. I might have to make orange sauce. Maybe it won't be bad. I mean, actually, if I think about it, it might be good to marinate chicken in, or tofu, whatever you're into. Anyway, in conclusion, the reason why I started talking today was because I've been having dreams again. I talked about it the last time I made a video, or maybe it was the one before, I don't know, but I was talking about climbing on a ladder where the space between the rungs was like 4 or 5 feet, like big enough to be a window practically. And then the ladder was leaned up against a building, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but there was a window right across, so it was almost the same size as the rung. And I do remember saying I didn't know how I would be climbing that ladder because the rungs were so far apart. Like me personally right now, I don't know that I could do a pull-up, so I don't know how I could go up that ladder, but some kind of metaphor. But I also saw that it was not necessary to climb, because what I needed to do was go through the window. And in the intervening time between having the dream and talking about it and now, I realized that that was a big window of opportunity. That's what it's saying. You can still climb. Might be a struggle. Good luck. But here is a window that you can just easily swing or step into of opportunity. And just, that's what I got from it. So it just is telling me, like, oh, here's an alternate way to go. You don't know what you're heading into, like, definitely it was like an apartment building. So that was that. And then the other dream that I had that I really didn't know what to do with was that I dreamt of a codex, sorry. And I didn't know if it was just influenced by the fact that I had seen one online, and I remember thinking it was a picture of a codex, and it was like in a case, a see-through case, transparent case, in like a museum or whatever, and it was on a stand, and it looked like an ear of dried corn, and all of the markings that it had on it, like, oh heck, I can't remember the name of the script, but it's ancient. It was like the lists Egyptians wrote in, like, that script. And so I'm seeing like a feather for the quill, and it's just like a regular feather. Like, mine looks so bad, but they're found feathers. So anyway, if you look at the end of a feather, though, it's the quill end, and it's hollow, and it's got like a bit of a point, like a pen. That's why they work. But now I got all into the what do you call, the writing implement. And really what I want to be talking about is the writing, but it looked well worn, so it really looked like an ear of dried corn. Like the markings that had been pressed into it were like kind of faint, like you could tell they were there, but like I said, well worn. So somebody used the heck out of this codex. That's what I thought I was dreaming about when I had the codex in my dream, and now I can't remember which one I saw first, but it took me a couple of days to where I was like, why? What does this even mean? Oh, and then I had a dream about washing my hair, and I was like, what? So I look it up, and it talks about like kind of renewal, like you wash out like old stuff, old incidents that you went through, and like whatever residue you had from those, like a lot of stuff emotionally, I guess, ends up in your hair. And then your hair is also an antenna, so you have to maintain it by like clearing it pretty frequently. And then I have been like putting a lot of oils on my scalp and on my hair because I have this alopecia. So I know that the like medicinal oils, I can leave them on there for a little while, but it is good also to just completely wash it all out and let my head just breathe for, you know, a day or two, whatever it is. And so you wash away like all of the, you don't even see like the particles that land, because I've had to use product in the past, particularly oily stuff. You end up with a lot of like dust and crud, and if you're around any smoke, which that's my bad, but it ends up sitting on your hair and your clothes. And so maybe you don't want like just junk sitting on your hair where it can like seep into your body. And ideas, because this is a metaphor. I'm hearing a song from, I guess, the 60s where the chorus said, I'm not gonna do the tune, I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. So that's like a breakup song, right? But so okay, you're breaking up with all of this stuff that's attached to you, and particles could carry other junk from wherever they came from and bring it to you. That could be information, like in the metaphor. It could actually be some kind of like residue that's not a good idea to just be sitting on your hair and skin. And unfortunately, that is a thing that we have to deal with now. Like, we really have to pay attention to what we're putting into and on our bodies, because the regulations are not there to protect us. And snake oil salesmen, they just want your money. They don't really care with whatever garbage they're selling you. They don't care what it does to you. They just want the money. Like, as long as you're alive, they're happy to, you know, extract some money from you. That's a broad spread state of mind. Okay, so the codex. The codex itself, in my mind, didn't like decode anything. It just told me that things needed to be decoded or understood. And so I just had like this weekend a couple of days where it was just like downloads all day, and I knew a cold was coming on, and I mentioned that a cold usually signifies that you, on some level, spiritually stepped up, like some sort of understanding, new understanding has come to your consciousness. And so the downloads have been like really dense and intense. I'm making an alarmed face. Nothing has been alarming. Like, I'm still kind of assimilating whatever information I got, but what I am getting is the The codex is signifying the need for at least me to like decode situations like in my life, and to do so in a way that is helpful not only for myself but hopefully for other people, because I really don't like, I'm so conscious right now of like what I'm gonna say and how it's gonna affect other people and me, you know, or any situation. Like, it just seems like eyes are on you, and words can be powerful, but they can also work against you, and that's not different or new, but there is a novelty to this regular thing. There's a lot of like turned up emotions, I guess. And so the codex, everything I talked about is like just all of this interweaving, flying around, constant energy stuff, and it's hard to pin down, and it makes you agitated, feeling, you know, you feel like you have anxiety, or it's just a lot of, there are a lot of things out there to really make you feel sad. You feel the pain of other people, because you can see what's happening. And it, for us here in the US, it's like, you know, whether or not you voted for the guy or not, at this point, it just don't even, nobody cares anymore. He's America, you're America. So if the, let's just say all of the things that he's proposing and attempting are not going over, I don't think, the way he expected, or I don't think the way the government expected, or did they even consider it? Because it seems like motivations for what happened have very little to do with like people on the ground and dissenting opinions and reasonable voices trying to help, you know. So you have to find your center, I feel like, or I do, and I have to remain calm for my own sanity, you know. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you and good night.